Well, welcome back to the stream. Well, not stream, podcast. This is Motivational Memories. I'm your host, Josh Honko. This podcast is to talk about particular topics that I think are, one, relevant to my son as he grows up and becomes a man, and some of the things that I wanted to part upon him, just in case I'm not around, heaven forbid. I hope you guys notice I have some new lights in the studio. I'm starting to kind of bring up the quality of the studio. I really appreciate everyone who's been watching. I hope that these lessons have been helpful. My hope and prayer is that you take these things that I've learned personally throughout my life, my personal experiences, and take it as just that and kind of absorb it and hopefully reflect on your own life and see how these potentially could apply to you. My hope is that these help you in some way. If you don't have a father figure or if you don't have a big brother, it's what I am. I'm a dad. I'm a big brother. It's what I do. And my personality, I'm about protecting. So that's a lot of what I talk about on here. It's part of the reason I want to document this. Another reason, and again, why it's called Motivational Memories if you haven't been watching, is to see the difference between where I've been, where I haven't been. And I try to do relevant topics to my time, where I'm at, what's happening in the world, and just as those kind of thoughts and lessons come to me, I talk about them. That's it. This isn't about politics. This isn't about current events, even though I do talk about these. And this particular episode probably gonna be a little controversial. So if you're a snowflake, suck it up. This is a not politically correct podcast. Don't care about that. I just care about truth, reality, facts. That's what I try to focus on. So as you can see, there and there, might have guessed what my stance is on the Second Amendment. Might have guessed what my stance is on defense. And son, I think this is particularly important. I will always fight for people's freedom. That is ultimately what I believe it's our duty as Americans, is to preserve freedom. And freedom is God-given. I'm a Christian. I believe it's God-given freedoms. I do not believe it's the government and their mighty wonderfulness bestowing these things. No, these are the things that we should be fundamental in our existence, and it's part of the government's job to protect them and preserve them and make sure that no foreign powers infringe upon our civil liberties and our freedoms. And freedom in my time has been taken lightly, and people are very willing to set precedents, and that's some of the dangers that I see in a lot of things that are happening nowadays. Is they will sacrifice freedom in the name of safety. And there's a quote by Benjamin Franklin that says, those who sacrifice liberty and freedom for safety neither will have any or deserve any. And basically that means it's going to be taken from you. If you do not fight for it, if you do not work and put systems in place to preserve things, there are always evil people that are trying to control other people because they suck. And there is evil in this world, and it's being perpetrated by a lot of different people. It's being perpetrated by, I'm again a Christian. If I believe in God, I got to believe in the other guy. So that's kind of where I fall on that political spectrum. I served 8 years in the U.S. Army Reserves. I was a paralegal and an Army combat instructor and served in a few different units. So, understanding, sacrificing for freedom is where I was at. I wish I had done more service, frankly. Had some injuries in my shoulder, and it was kind of a time where I was on the verge of graduating, on the verge of I was dating my now wife, and God kind of just shifted my life. I think if I had been single, if I hadn't been in college, probably would still be in the military right this second. Because, one, I enjoyed it. And as a big brother, I think part of my personality is protecting people and making sure that people are taken care of. And that's what a lot of the military is. You're being a leader for your brothers and sisters in arms and making sure that everyone's okay and everyone's coming home and I really enjoy that. I like that sense of community. So I believe very much too, part of my job when I was serving the military is preserving freedom. And, you see over here on the left, that's not a military dude. It looks kind of like a contractor, or potentially a civilian. In the right to bear arms, COA, the Second Amendment is instilled so that we can fight tyranny and we can protect ourselves from people that are in power and to try to take advantage. If you can look throughout history, people that have arms in their homes to protect themselves throughout history, even when it wasn't guns, when they had swords, those are people that were not easily conquered. Those are people that were not easily controlled. And when you're conquering and controlling people, a lot of times that comes with pillaging. A lot of times that comes with suffering. And if you can have something that deters that, it helps. An example of this on a larger scale is the Cold War. We avoided nuclear conflict because both parties had weapons. It's the same way when it comes to the government and people, or foreign powers and people. There was a Japanese officer, I think it was Hiroshito. Don't quote me on that. But his saying was, if we tried to take the United States, like basically the homeland, the major territories, there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. That is a serious deterrent. And as a superpower, the United States, we are a superpower. We have been fighting a guerrilla warfare against an undermanned, underarmed conflict for the last 15 years. The U.S. Army. Those people are not nearly as armed. Their land is not nearly as defensible as the United States. If someone tried to bring tyranny here in the United States, or worse, the Holocaust, and try to create genocide here, the Second Amendment is what's stopping that, because enough people in this country will stand up and make sure that people that are defensible are not harmed. And I hate to say it, but there are bad people out there. There's people that want to hurt you. There's people that want to take everything that you have, and they don't care about you. That evil is kept at bay because there are deterrents. Does it work all the time? No. Is it perfect? No. You know why? Because people are imperfect. But does it work in the majority of the time? Yes. When you look throughout history, when guns are taken away, suffering increases. You look at policies. You look at the cities right now. The cities that are taking away guns: Chicago, California cities, New York. All of them are crime-ridden because there's no deterrence. Because the police officers, as much as I support them and they're awesome and they're great, the response time's 5 to 15 minutes. If you need a gun, you need seconds, not minutes. A lot of times you'll be dead in minutes. And I know this is a heavy topic, so if you're watching this while you're younger, do not watch this topic until you're older. Okay? But that's the whole point of this. It's very logical. And as much as, I have friends on the left. I have friends that are more liberal with this, and they think gun controls work if people follow the law. People don't follow the law. As much as I would love for people to. As much as I would love for there to be utopian where people didn't like killing each other or robbing each other or making other people suffer. unfortunately, there's a lot of people that enjoy that. It's a lot of people enjoy. One instances where gun control was put in place, and an unbelievable amount of suffering happened. The Holocaust. That is an incident where millions and millions of innocent Jews and Israelis, well, they weren't Israelis, Jews, died. You put a gun in each one of their hands, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to form ghettos. It's a lot harder to take those people if they fight to the last person. So that's what guns are for. They are for hunting. They are for survival. They are for all these things. But at the end of the day, it's about fighting tyranny. Now, I'm going to watch something. Let me hide this image real quick. And we're going to watch a video about Ronald Reagan and kind of what he, his stance on it. And he is a phenomenal politician. Let me make sure that I have the audio of the PC on. Audio input capture, add. Oh, no, not mic stand. All right, so I apologize. Technical difficulties. Adding in audio input capture. Well, as I'm doing this, one of the great things I like about Ronald Reagan is really he was a guy that wasn't afraid to talk about different topics. He was very, I hate to say it, right wing. That's just the stance that he was in. Right, it is what it is. But he has a lot of logical points when it comes to stuff. So let's see.
You pointed out that.
Yep. Okay. So we'll go ahead and listen to this, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit afterwards. But this is what he thinks on gun control. That he was talking about this from the Heritage Foundation. It's from like the 80s. So let's go ahead and listen to this.
You pointed out that police would be so busy arresting handgun owners that they would be unable to protect the people against criminals. It's a nasty truth, but those who seek to inflict harm are not fazed by gun control laws. I happen to know this from personal experience.
Let me go ahead and stop there. He was shot. He was shot at. Shot by a gun. By somebody who wasn't someone who didn't follow gun control laws. Kind of an expert on the topic. If you haven't shot at, or if you don't know, if you cannot explain anything about this topic other than the party line of gun control and it saves lives, then you are ignorant and ill-informed, and I don't even want to have a discussion. Be informed if you're going to talk about it, but this dude knows what he's talking about. Let's continue.
I've always felt a special bond with the members of your group. You live by Lincoln's words. Important principles may and must be inflexible. Your philosophy put its trust in people, so you insist on individuals be held responsible for their actions. The NRA believes that America's laws were made to be obeyed and that our constitutional liberties are just as important today as 200 years ago. And by the way, the Constitution does not say that government shall decree the right to keep and bear arms. The Constitution says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
All right, so literally exactly what I was talking about. Literally exactly what I was talking about. That it's about making sure that our rights are not taken advantage of. Right? Because this is something that's fundamental to our existence and our survival. is that. So Koa, that's why your dad has a lot of guns around. I also have a gun safe. I also make sure it's safe. And when you get older, I will teach you everything that I know about gun safety. I will teach you how, because somebody who is unfamiliar with guns, they are the most dangerous. If you're familiar with guns, you're training around it, you stand them. Your mother was not around guns, nor did she know anything about guns when she first met me. Took her to the gun range. She shot guns. I bought her several guns. Went to the gun range again. She got familiar. She got comfortable. Started liking them and understanding that it is simply a tool. Guns are not evil. People are evil. Let's be clear. Let's be clear about that. Guns are not evil. It's an inanimate object. It's not evil. It doesn't have a soul. Right? It's the wielder. It's the person who has the tool. Those are the people that are evil. And one of the reasons I'm talking about this right now, there was a school shooting. And as horrific as those are, the person that did the shooting were evil. Wasn't anything to do with the gun that person fired. It was their intent and their soul. And frankly, in this case, it was mental illness. It was a trans kid, very confused individual that had hatred for a church / school, and realized it was an easy target because he was young kids. And went there, shot up the place. It talks. This incident talks about several things that we need to address. And one of them is making sure that kids are safe in school. And a good way to do that is to make sure that there are weapons in place, there are safety measures in place to prevent attackers, because there are attackers happening. The other thing that we need to address, and it's a pretty big issue, it's two major issues that are kind of affecting the country right now. It's mental illness. If you have mental illness, it should be challenging for you to get a hold of a weapon. It should be challenging for you to get hands on explosives if you have mental illness. We need to have a database that we can identify if somebody has a mental illness or a mental defect. We need this. And not necessarily personal info, but just to know if the person is in there. We don't need to know what their mental illness is. We don't need to know any of that. We should just have a database that says, hey, is this person okay to do these functions? That's it. Right? We don't need to be too intrusive. None of that. Put it on their driver's license. I don't care. But we need to have a database that does that, so that it is challenging. And it needs to be for pool supplies. It needs to be for anything that you can use to create a deadly weapon. Now, that's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. So, we'll try to limit that as much as possible, so we're not infringing on too many people. But that the mental illness thing in the United States is being really pervasive. And I think it's because everyone's preaching this grand acceptance or grand I'm perfect the way I am thing. And frankly, it's just not good. It really isn't. People suck. Sometimes you suck. Sometimes I suck. Koa, and unless you're willing to say, hey, I suck in these areas, I need to work on it and improve it, you're never going to improve. You're never going to get better. You're never going to find the help that you need. By just saying it's okay, it's not okay. I currently am overweight. I have done significant steps to lose weight. You know why? Because being fat is not okay. It's not. Being fat sucks. It's not healthy. And frankly, I would be doing you a disservice as a dad if I just ballooned to as big as I possibly wanted, died of a heart attack, and then you're without a dad. I did that. That is something I did. Or I'm shortening my life. And the people that I love that are them around don't get as much time with me. It's frankly pretty selfish, right? When it comes down to it. And frankly, it's just a choice of discipline. It's a choice of, hey, I want to eat this thing. Or, hey, I don't want to exercise. I'm tired. You know what? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I just got done with the workout in real time. I love sweets. I love them. I love them so much. I love food. I love food so much. Food is my comfort. Food is joy. I take pleasure in making a phenomenal meal. I love it. I love it. That's why I work so hard. So I can go out to a really, 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 really nice dinner and eat caviar and have steak and have my old-fashioned, smoked old-fashioned. But frankly, it's not good for me. It's not good. You know what I should eat? I should eat just steak. I should eat just chicken. I should maybe have a couple greens or whatever and some pills to like supplement. But I should just be eating no bread. No bread, no sugar. It's bad for you. Vegetable oils, bad for you. Animal fats, good. We are more heavily carnivore. But it's about discipline. It's about discipline. And that points to a lot of things. It's about personal responsibility. If you are responsible, and I am a responsible gun owner, I have guns, I got ammunition, I make sure they're not loaded, I make sure that they're away from children, I make sure that I know where they are at all times, I have them under lock and key. That is what a responsible gun owner does. If I was irresponsible and I was handing it to children and stuff, I probably shouldn't have guns. But I am a law-abiding citizen. Make sure my guns are registered. I got ammunition for them. Everything's good to go. I'm the kind of person you want to have a gun. I got my concealed carry. If I'm walking around with my 9mm, and by the way, I'm for the average user, I'm pretty good and pretty accurate. Okay. Am I a Navy SEAL? No. Am I at the top of my game when I used to be shooting all the time when I was in the Army? No, I'm not there. Am I better than the average user? Yeah, I would say I'm better than the average user. I can shoot a target. I think my accuracy rate's around 80% at 50 is it 50 meters or 50 yards? I think it's 50 yards. But I'm at 80% accurate. Now, I was up to, I think, 88% accurate when I was doing a kneeling position. 80 to 85 was kind of what I was averaging when I was standing up. It's pretty dang good. I'm one of the guys you want to have a gun when things are going south. When things are going bad, I should have a gun because I'm also going to be running towards the firefight. If there's a school shooting, heaven forbid there's a robbery or anything like that, I'm the guy who's going to be running towards it, not running away from it. And I have the training to do so. That's what you should be doing. If you own a gun, you should be trained. If you own a gun, you should have lessons. If you have a gun, you should be regularly training with it. Because here's the thing. The gun's useless if you can't hit the target. If you can't hit what you're supposed to be hitting, it's not good. So be a warrior. Be prepared. Right? And that's, again, I think part of what I want to talk about with this Second Amendment thing. That it's a fundamental right for you to have, but you also need to make sure that you are proficient with that type of tool. The tool is deadly. The tool is used for killing things. That is what this tool is used for. It's one of the most critical tools that you can have in your toolbox. Okay? Some other tools that are really great, hand-to-hand combat, hand-to-hand fighting, knowing how to fight, knowing how to punch someone in the face. That's another good tool. Knives, tomahawks, yeah, got those too. Those are good tools, right? But you need to know how to use them. If you haven't even read the instruction manual, if you haven't gone to a class, if you haven't talked to experts, you haven't talked to mentors, if you haven't used the tool on a regular basis, it's frankly useless. A car that you leave in the driveway and never drive, when you go to start it up, will not start because it's sat there, rusted. Same thing for guns. If you're not oiling it regularly, you're not firing it regularly, good likely chance it's probably going to jam, unless it's some certain types of weapons, which I'm not preaching that right now. But at the end of the day, you should be preparing. You should be preparing to use your tool. You should be ready. So, son, that's another lesson that I have. Own guns. Be prepared to use them. There's an old Marine Corps saying, be friendly with everyone that you meet, but have a plan to kill everybody. Have a plan to kill everybody that you meet. Just in case. Be friendly, be courteous, but have a plan to kill everyone. And that's true because you know what? People suck. You watch tons of interviews of people that have killed people, or even, heaven forbid, a serial killer, and you talk to the people that are neighbors to those people. I never saw it coming. I never saw it coming. I couldn't believe I did. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It could be anyone. Anyone in the world. And frankly, most of the time, I cannot recall the stat for the life of me, but the majority of people that are killed by people they know. It's not strangers. It's not random muggins. It's people that you know. So be prepared. Have the weapons on hand. Child suicide's a big deal, so have your gun under lock and key. And here's the deal. If you start to have mental illness, or you're like, hey, man, I'm getting suicidal, call a friend, phone a friend. Have them take your guns for a little bit. That's okay. That's 100% okay. I have friends who are in the military. Military suicide, it's a real deal. And they would call me up and say, hey, having a rough time. I'm like, okay, you got any guns in the house? Yeah, I got a couple. All right, we'll go drop it off at a buddy until you feel better. Because most of the time it's fleeting. Most of the time those feelings are temporary. And you can fight through those by the grace of God. Because, you're going to have God with you. And God's going to help take care of you. And you're going to overcome that through him. Okay? But at the end of the day, you need to have those protections. Because you never know when somebody's going to come and try to take stuff from you. You never know when you might be in mortal danger, or your family's in mortal danger. I have a saying, and you're going to hear it a lot as you grow up. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Be prepared. Be prepared to defend yourself. Be prepared to defend your family. Be prepared to defend yourself against the U.S. government. There are bad people out there. You know what? The Nazis were all elected. The National Socialist Party. And right now it is 2023, and everyone's preaching socialism. Socialism is so great. Nazis were socialists. It's the National Socialist Party. Like, seriously, folks. Seriously. Like, socialism's bad. The worst people. The worst people have killed the most amount of people. Those are socialists. If you're for socialism and you think it's going to be hunky-dory and you think you're going to be, I'm going to be the ones on top. We're going to do it right. And I'm going to be one of the rich aristocrats. No, dude. If you think you're going to be the rich aristocrats, you're not one of them. The people that are the rich, they're already there. They're already the rich ones. They're already on their yachts. They're already doing the things. You're not part of the club. Anyone who's for socialism at the lower levels and you are actually going to a protest, you're not on the list. You're not one of the crew. The people who are at the top of the socialist pyramids, they're not doing riots. They're not doing parades. They're the ones who are sitting back and orchestrating all this because they know if it goes through, they're going to be on top. They're going to be king. They're going to be queens. They're going to rule everything. They're Nazis. They're Nazis. National Socialists. Nationalist Socialist Party. Nazis. It's exactly what they were. That's exactly what they were. So those are the type of people that you want to protect against. You want to protect yourself against those type of individuals, bringing those type of ideologies here, and enforcing them amongst you. It's really hard. It's really hard to enforce a curfew and stuff when the whole population is armed. And if your argument is, oh, you can't fight a fighter jet, you can't fight, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. Go look at how many Afghan people took down Russian helicopters and the Russian army, and frankly the U.S. Army. Go look at Somalia. Yeah. If the population is armed, even with basic stuff, they can fight conventional fighting forces. You know why? Because conventional fighting forces have rules. And it goes back a long time. It's called rules and engagement. And you think that might be ancient times? Nope. There's a whole list of things that U.S. soldiers and Marine Corps guys cannot do when it's engaging the enemy. Rules of engagement. And you know why? I had to brief it. I was Army JAG, had to talk about it all the time, and the Marine Corps and the infantry dudes would look at me and go, well, that's bullcrap. I got to wait till they're shooting at me before I can shoot back? Yeah, bud. So they're like, so we literally have to be in an ambush before I can shoot people. There's no preemptive shooting. Like, not really. Not unless you really think that they have intent. Because if you don't, the gamble is you go to jail, right? And that's there were very similar rules that the British Army had in 1776. And the guerrilla warfare soldiers, that's what freed America. And I guarantee it's what's going to free us again if they try to clasp slavery and terrible things on us and genocide and all these things and start to oppress different groups. Good luck with guerrilla warfare. It's worked for a really long time. You know why? Because guerrilla warfare people don't wear uniforms. You can't tell who's good, who's bad, whatever, until they put a bullet in you. And by that time, it's a little too late. It's a little too late. Yes, there's a lot of sophisticated technology out there. Yes. You know what the U.S. freedom fighters would have? The toughest terrain out there. I don't know if you know this, but thousands of people every year get lost with the best technology, trying to find people. We can't find people in the American woods. Like, with flare guns, we miss them. That's how vast the outdoors is. And you think, oh, it's California, there's a cop, there's videos. Like, dude, it ain't going to be in California. Dude, they're going to go out into the woods, man. They're going to go out into the mountains. It's going to be really hard to go get those people. It's going to be really hard to extract. Especially if they have ghillie suits and stuff. It's really easy to conceal a single person. Even from night vision. There's different tactics you can do. And trust me. Large, vast amount of people are thinking about this all the time. How can I avoid night vision? How can I avoid green dots? How can I avoid thermal? There's ways. There's 100% ways to do this. 100% ways to protect yourself from this. And make sure that you're coming out on top. I do not advocate, and just let me be clear, I do not advocate overthrowing the government. I do not advocate that at all. I don't think that's a good idea. But I think you should be prepared just in case the U.S. government steps out of bounds. And the state of Florida or any state that you reside in needs to break away. And it's starting to get that point with some of these transgender protests where they literally, I demand access to your children. Don't mess with my kids, man. If you want to see me with just an intent that you do not want to come across, mess with my kids. Mess with my kid. Mess with my wife. Mess with my brothers, my sisters, my family. I will come at you with everything that I have. I will sacrifice everything. It's the truth. I'm a big brother. I'm a dad. My entire being is protecting. And that's what you should be too, son. Strive to be protective of others, of the defenseless. The Bible calls for us to take care of widows and children. I believe that's financial. And I think it's also making sure that their well-being is okay. To fight. Fight because others can't. Do not join the military. Your mother will literally kill me and then kill you. So please do not follow my footsteps and join the U.S. Army. If you're going to do any, do the U.S. Air Force. Please. Please do not join the Army. Please do not join the Marine Corps. No offense, dudes. Those are the dangerous ones. Yes, there's dangerous jobs in every single military. Blah, 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 blah. There's a difference. By the way, the U.S. Air Force, it's not a joke, but they got air conditioning in them tents. Okay? Their dining facility, I swear, there was a moment that I walked into an Air Force dining facility and I was like, oh, I joined the wrong branch. 100% I joined the wrong branch. I walk into the dining facility and there's a Tuscan oven and they're making custom pizzas for the airmen and soldiers. And I genuinely asked, is this the officer dining facility? They said, no, this is enlisted. This is the basic stuff. I was livid. Because at the time, my barracks, you had to flick the light switch with a rubber ended, like with a pencil with an eraser on the end, or you'd get shocked. They couldn't install a better lighting system on my barracks, but the airmen get a Tuscan oven to make custom, handmade pizzas. Livid. I was so mad. Oh, mad. That's why you shouldn't join the U.S. Army or the Marine Corps or the Coast Guard or the Navy's just a boat, a massive multi-ton thing that floats. I get the science. I understand the science behind it. Still doesn't sit well with me. Okay? Lead on water. No, thank you. Pass. If you join anything, Air Force is the acceptable. Okay, son? Because I know you're going to be smart. It'll be fine. So, in conclusion today, guns, good. People, bad. Neutral gun plus bad people equals bad outcome. Neutral gun plus good people equals good outcome. Okay? So I hope this podcast is helpful. It's pretty controversial nowadays because the liberals and the lefts are so vehement about taking our guns. Not a good idea. Not a good idea to try to take away, because we're the people that own guns, and you say I'm gonna kick in your door and take them. You're backing somebody in the corner that has a weapon. It's not gonna end well. It's not a good look. It's not a good thing. It's bad, and frankly, it's infringing upon the rights that God has given us. So I hope you find this lesson helpful, son. I love you, and anyone else is watching. You do not have to like, comment, or do anything. It's much appreciated if you do. The more that you interact with the channel, the more that people see it, and hopefully the more people that I can help with this advice. Here's your friendly dad and friendly big brother. Hope you have success in life and in business.